Which one of you is the father? The alien girl left both humans speechless. The gleaming spires of New Alexandria's residential district pierced the amber evening sky, their crystalline surfaces reflecting the light of twin setting suns. Marcus Reed stood on his balcony, muscled arms crossed over his white tank top, watching the city's nightlife begin to stir. The gentle hum of hover vehicles and distant music created a soothing urban symphony. His attention drifted to the adjacent apartment where his mysterious neighbor, Lady Ariana Silverweave, lived. Her residence, like everything about her, exuded an otherworldly elegance that set her apart from the human population of this frontier world. As Illuminant, one of the ancient spacefaring races, she carried herself with the grace of centuries of refined culture. Marcus's commute buzzed. The familiar face of his best friend, Derek Stone, appeared on the holographic display. "Hey brother, you won't believe what just happened at the spaceport." Derek's excited voice crackled through. "Remember that cute Lumen and we've both been hanging out with? I just saw her shopping for, well, you need to see this yourself." Before Marcus could respond, a soft chime announced someone at his door. He opened it to find Ariana standing there, her silvery hair cascading over a form-fitting white dress that highlighted a distinctly rounded belly. Derek appeared from around the corner, his muzzle mused frame filling out his white t-shirt stubble, darkening his jaw. "Gentlemen," Ariana said, her light blue eyes shifting between them, "I believe we need to talk." She stepped inside, her movements still graceful despite her condition. "I need to know which one of you is the father." The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus and Derek exchanged shocked glances, their minds racing through the implications. The past few months of casual flirtation and intimate counters suddenly took on a whole new meaning. "Wait, what Derek finally managed? We don't even know for sure," Marcus added, running a hand through his tousled brown hair. Ariana's lips curved into a slight smirk, but her eyes remained serious. "Actually, that's precisely why I'm here. Luminant pregnancy is unique. The child carries genetic markers from all potential fathers. During the first trimester, only one set of genetics will ultimately prove dominant, but until then—" She gestured elegantly to her belly. "We have a situation." Marcus leaned against the wall, his mind spinning. "So you're saying both of you are technically fathers right now?" She confirmed. "But in 2 months only one of you will be. And there's something else you should know." Her expression grew more serious. "My family holds a significant position in the lineage hierarchy. This child, regardless of who the father turns out to be, will be heir to considerable power and responsibility." Derek whistled low. "Well, indeed," Ariana agreed. "And there are those who would prefer this child never be born. A half-human error would be controversial." The following days brought a shift in dynamics that none of them had anticipated. For safety reasons, Ariana moved into Marcus' spacious apartment. It had an extra bedroom and better security systems. Derek, concerned for their safety, began spending most of his time there as well, sleeping on the couch in the living room. The arrangement created an atmosphere charged with unspoken tension. Ariana's Luminant culture viewed relationships differently than humans did. To her people, the concept of multiple partners during pregnancy wasn't just accepted, it was considered beneficial for the child's development. One evening, as the three of them sat in the living room, Ariana decided to address the elephant in the room. She sat gracefully in an armchair, her white dress flowing around her, while Marcus and Derek occupied opposite ends of the couch. "In my culture," she began, her melodic voice carrying a hint of amusement, "this situation would be considered quite fortunate. Two strong, capable potential fathers, both willing to protect their possible offspring." Her light blue eyes sparkled with mischief. "Humans have such interesting reactions to these matters." Marcus ran a hand through his beard, trying to maintain composure. "Well, on Earth, things are usually more straightforward." "Straightforward is boring," Ariana countered, rising from her chair with fluid grace. "And neither of you struck me as boring when we first met." She moved closer, her silvery hair catching the evening light. "Tell me, does it bother you sharing my attention?" Derek cleared his throat. "It's not exactly a common situation where we're from." "But we're not on Earth," Ariana reminded them, her voice taking on a sultry tone. "We're on a frontier world where different cultures meet and blend." She sat between them on the couch, her presence electric. "My people believe that during pregnancy, The mother should maintain close bonds with potential fathers. It strengthens the child. Marcus felt his pulse quicken. Close bonds, very close, she confirmed, her fingers trailing along both their arms. You humans have such a fascinating physiological responses. Your hearts race. As your pupils dilate, your skin flushes. She leaned closer to Marcus, then turned to Derek. Just like now, the tension in the room grew thick enough to cut with a knife. Both men found themselves drawn to her, yet also aware of their friendship with each other, and it was an unusual dance of attraction and respect. This isn't just physical for us, Derek said softly. At least not for me, nor for me, Marcus added, Ariana's expression soft and good. Because it isn't just physical for me either. You humans with your intense emotions and unwavering loyalty, you fascinate me, both of you, in different ways. Over the next few hours, as night fell over New Alexandria, they talked openly about their feelings, their fears, and their desires. Ariana explained more about luminant customs, about how her people viewed love as something that could expand rather than divide. In my culture, she explained, we believe that the heart grows stronger with each connection. It makes love isn't a finite resource to be rationed. It's a force that multiplies with sharing. The conversation continued late into the night, punctuated by moments of intimate tension and gentle touches. Their relationship evolved naturally, guided by Ariana's cultural wisdom and the humans' growing understanding of her ways. Days began to blend together in a comfortable routine. Mornings found them sharing breakfast, exchanging glances loaded with meaning. Evenings were filled with quiet conversations and growing intimacy. The apartment became their sanctuary, a space where cultural boundaries blurred and new forms of connection emerged. Ariana taught them about luminant customs of courtship, while they shared human traditions. She was particularly amused by Earth's concept of dating. Your species makes everything so complicated, she laughed one evening. All these rules about who can court whom and when, and how my people believe in following the heart's wisdom. Marcus and Derek found themselves adapting to this new dynamic, their friendship remaining strong even as their relationships with Ariana deepened. They established boundaries that respected both their human sensibilities and luminant customs. You know, Derek mused one evening, if someone had told me a year ago I'd be in this situation, I would have thought they were crazy. And now Ariana asked, her hand resting on his arm. Now it feels right, he admitted, sharing a knowing look with Marcus. Different, but right. The morning calm shattered with the arrival of a priority transmission from the Linnean hierarchy. Ariana's elegant features tightened as she activated the holographic display, revealing the stern viz of Lord Celestian, her father's chief advisor. Lady Ariana, his crystalline voice carried thinly veiled disapproval. News of your condition has reached the High Council. Your father demands your immediate return to the celestial spires. Marcus and Derek, who had been preparing breakfast, moved protectively closer to Ariana. She straightened, her silver hair shimmering with defiance. Tell my father, she replied coolly, that I'm carrying a child who may be heir to our bloodline. My presence here ensures both our safety. A half-human hair lord, Celestian lip curled, and worse, you don't even know which humans sullied our noble lineage. The council is in uproar too. Potential fathers, this is unprecedented. Actually, Ariana's voice took on a teaching tone that made both Marcus and Derek suppress grins. It's quite precedented. The ancient scrolls speak of multiple instances where lumen and nobles maintain complex relationships during pregnancy. Our biology evolved this way for a reason. Those were different times, Celeste countered, and those were noble houses, not humans. Derek stepped forward, his muscled frame filling the holographic field. Those humans have names, at your lordship, and we're not going anywhere. Marcus joined him, his beard failing to hide his protective scowl. Ariana stays here, where she's safe and happy. The advisor's face purpled with rage. You dare, you primitive species barely understand space travel, yet you presume to dictate terms to the luminant hierarchy. Primitive. Ariana laughed softly. My dear Celestian, have you forgotten why our people sought alliance with Earth in the first place? Their primitive passion, their raw strength, their unwavering loyalty, these are traits our bloodlines desperately need. She rose gracefully, her white dress empty, emphasizing her growing belly, and speaking of passion, she traced her fingers along Marcus' arm, Then Dirk's making both men shiver. These humans have shown me more genuine emotion in months than I've seen in centuries of Luminan courtship. This is outrageous. Celestian spluttered. Your father will hear of this. Good Ariana purred. Tell him his grandchild will be strong, passionate, and love. Tell him I've found what our people have been seeking, the perfect blend of Lumian grace and human fire. After the transmission ended, Ariana sank into the couch, her confident facade cracking slightly. Marcus and Derek immediately flanked her, offering silent support. Well, she sighed, that could have gone better. You were amazing, Dirk said, his hand finding hers absolutely fierce. Marcus agreed, gently massaging her shoulders. But what happens now? Ariana leaned into their touch, drawing strength from their presence. Now we prepare. The council won't give up easily. They'll try to separate us to protect the purity of our bloodline. She turned to face them both. I won't let them. That evening, as New Alexandria's twin moons rose, their relationship deepened further. The threat from the hierarchy had only strengthened their bonds. They talked about the future, about their child, about the challenges ahead. Ariana, amused, stretched between them on the couch. Luminan pregnancy has another fascinating aspect. The child's genetics respond to emotional connections. The stronger the bond between mother and potential fathers, the more likely the child will inherit the best traits from all involved. Is that why you've been so affectionate lately? Dare asked, his voice husky. She smiled mysteriously, partly but mostly because you humans are irresistibly passionate. Her fingers traced patterns on their arms. Your species feels everything so intensely. It's intoxicating. Marcus's chuckle says, the woman who can make us weak-kneed with a single look. Their laughter filled the apartment, a defiant sound against the political storm brewing in the celestial spires. As night deepened, their intimacy grew naturally, a dance of tender touches and passionate embraces that respected both human and Lumian sensibilities. Later, as they lay tangled together, Ariana spoke softly. The council fears what they don't understand. They see our arrangement as a threat because it challenges their rigid views. But they forget the greatest achievements in both our histories came from embracing change, not fighting it. The grand atrium of New Alexandria's interstellar embassy buzzed with tension as 3 Luminan diplomatic vessels descended from the amber sky. Ariana stood between Marcus and Derek, her white dress flowing elegantly around her now prominent belly, as her father, High Lord Artius, emerged from the central ship. The My Lord's appearance startled both humans. He was the spitting image of what Ariana might have been had she been born male, his silver hair and ceremonial robes catching the light of the setting suns. His expression, however, carried none of his daughter's warmth. My dear Ariana, he spoke, his voice resonating with centuries of authority. You've caused quite the stir in the celestial spires. Father, she acknowledged, her hand finding Marcus's while her other arm linked with Derek. I trust Lord Celesti and convey my position. Indeed, his eyes narrowed at their intimate stance, though I must admit seeing it in person is different. Before anyone could respond, a young Luminan scientist burst from one of the other ships, her research robes disheveled with excitement. High Lord, the readings, their unprecedented. Dr. Luminara, our genocide. We agreed to wait. But sir, the child's genetic markers. She thrust a holographic display toward them. The human DNA isn't just combining with Lumian genetics, it's enhancing them. The emotional bonds between the mother and both potential fathers are creating a completely new genetic pattern. Marcus and Derek exchanged glances, while Ariana smiled triumphantly. As I suspected, she said, our ancestors knew what they were doing when they evolved this biological capability. Der Luminara nodded enthusiastically. The child shows potential for both Lumen psionic abilities and human adaptive traits. It's exactly what the hierarchy has been seeking for millennia, a perfect bridge between our species. High Lord Argus's facade cracked slightly. Show me. As they gathered around the holographic display, the scientist explained how the unique emotional bonds between Ariana and both humans had triggered ancient genetic mechanisms in Lumian biology. The child was developing traits that hadn't been seen since the legendary golden age of their civilization. There's more. Dr. Luminar added softly. High Lord, do you remember the stories about your own mother Arcia? Stiffened, that's not relevant, Father. Ariana's voice carried a note of curiosity. The High Lord remained silent for a long moment, then spoke quietly. Your grandmother, she wasn't pure luminen, either. She had human ancestry, though it was kept secret to protect our family's position. Well, Derek muttered, earning a sharp look from Marcus and a suppressed giggle from Ariana. The genetic markers matched your luminera, confirmed your family's renowned psionic abilities. Likely came from that human ancestry. This child could be even stronger given the direct human parentage. Artius turned to study Marcus and Derek more carefully. And you both care for my daughter more than anything, or Marcus answered firmly. We die to protect her, and the child, Derek added. The High Lord softened. Marginally, perhaps we've been too rigid in our thinking. Our civilization achieved its greatest heights when we embraced change, rather than feared it. Later that evening in their apartment, Ariana celebrated their victory by pulling both men into a passionate embrace. Did you see my father's face when he realized his own grandmother was human? Priceless. I still can't believe it. Derek laughed, his hands finding their way to her waist. The great pure-blooded Lumian hierarchy, built on human DNA all along. Marcus joined them, his beard brushing Ariana's neck as he spoke. So our child will have both luminen and human traits. Best of both worlds. Ariana purred, her fingers tracing patterns on both their chests. And thanks to our intense emotional bonds, those traits will be even stronger. Her light blue eyes sparkled with mischief. We should probably keep strengthening those bonds, don't you think? Their laughter filled the apartment as they celebrated their victory over prejudice and tradition, their joy a testament to the power of love transcending species and custom. The news spread through the Luminan hierarchy like wildfire, ancient human DNA coursing through noble bloodlines, strengthened by emotional bonds and passionate connections. The celestial spires buzzed with controversy and excitement as centuries of carefully maintained prejudices crumbled in their new Alexandria apartment, now officially designated as a diplomatic residence. Ariana lounged on their expanded couch, her swollen belly draped in shimmering white silk. Marcus and Derek sat beside her, reviewing the latest reports from the hierarchy social revolution. Listen to the Marcus chuckled, reading from a holographic display. Noble houses scramble to uncover their own human ancestry. Genetic testing facilities overwhelmed with requests. Derek grinned, his stubbled jaw catching the evening light. Funny how quickly they changed their tune. Yesterday we were primitive, today they're fighting to prove their part human on the power of truth. Ariana mused, stretching languor asily between them. Though I suspect my father's public announcement about his own heritage helped. She smiled mischievously, as did those rather impressive demonstrations of human strength you both gave during the diplomatic reception. Both men blushed at the memory when several young no-lords had made disparaging remarks about human physicality. Marcus and Derek had accepted their challenge to a friendly combat demonstration. The resulting display of raw power and tactical thinking had left the Luminan noble speechless, and more than a few noble ladies visibly flustered. Speaking of impressive, Derek said, his hand finding its way to Ariana's belly. Der Luminara's latest readings show our little ones getting stronger every day. The emotional resonance is off the charts. Ariana agreed, her voice softening as Marcus's hand joined Dirk's. The child responds to both of you equally. It's beautiful. A chime announced an incoming transmission. High Lord Argus's image appeared, looking both amused and exasperated. Daughter, your little revelation has sparked quite the reformation. The council is in an uproar. Half of them are celebrating their newly discovered human ancestry, while the other half are trying to maintain their dignity, while secretly scheduling genetic tests. And you, Father, Ariana's eyes sparkled. How are you handling your status as the pioneer of human luminine integration? I find myself surprisingly comfortable with it, he admitted, perhaps because I'm watching my daughter flourish in ways our people haven't seen in millennia. The strength of your bonds with both potential fathers. He paused, choosing his words carefully. It reminds me of the ancient tales of our greatest achievements. After the transmission ended, Ariana turned to her companions with a predatory smile. Speaking of bonds, her fingers traced their jawlines. I believe Dr. Luminara mentioned something about emotional resonance being particularly strong during intimate moments. Marcus and Derek Exchanged knowing looks. Their unique relationship had evolved into something beautiful and natural, transcending conventional boundaries. While respecting each other's roles, their friendship remained strong and pure, platonic, while their shared devotion to Oriana created a harmony that defied traditional expectations. Later that night, as they lay contentedly tangled together, Ariana shared news. She'd been saving. The council is establishing new protocols for human-linean relationships, she murmured. They're calling it the Triumid Protocol, officially recognizing and protecting arrangements like ours. They're naming a law after us, Derek asked, incredulous. More like a cultural revolution, Marcus added, his beard tickling Ariana's shoulder. Who would have thought our unconventional situation would change an entire civilization? The humans I chose aren't just physically impressive. Ariana purred, her hands wandering possessively over both of them. You've shown the hierarchy that strength comes in many forms: physical, emotional, intellectual. You've proven that passion and loyalty aren't primitive traits but essential ones. The apartment filled with their gentle laughter and love-lowing whispers as New Alexandria's twin moons rose, casting their silver light over a world where boundaries between species were becoming increasingly fluid and love was proving stronger than tradition. The medical bay of the Luminan embassy glowed with soft ambient light as Der Luminara prepared her instruments for the genetic revelation ceremony. Ariana reclined on the examination bed, her 8-month pregnant belly prominently displayed beneath a shimmering white gown. Marcus and Derek stood on either side of her, their strong hands intertwined with hers. The moment of truth, Der Luminar announced, activating the holographic genetic scanner. Today, we'll finally know which human DNA sequence became dominant in the child's development. High Lord Artius observed from nearby, his silver robes rustling as he shifted with barely contained anticipation. The past months had transformed him from a stern traditionalist into an eager grandfather-to-be, though he maintained his dignified facade. Remember, Ariana squeezed both men's hands. Regardless of biology, this child belongs to all of us. The scanner hummed to life, projecting a complex matrix of genetic patterns above Ariana's belly. Der Luminara's eyes widened as she interpreted the data. This is remarkable. What is it? Marcus asked, his beard failing to hide his nervous expression. The dominant DNA sequence belongs to Der Luminara. Pause for dramatic effect. Derek stoned. Derek's knees nearly buckled. I'm the father. Biologically speaking, yes, the doctor confirmed. But there's more. Marcus's genetic influence hasn't disappeared. It's integrated itself into the child's enhancement genes. The strength of your emotional bonds has created something unprecedented. Marcus felt Ariana's hand tighten around his. What does that mean exactly? It means, Der Luminar explained excitedly, while Dirk's DNA determines the primary physical characteristics, Marcus's genetic contribution has merged with the Luminan enhancement genes, potentially boosting the child's abilities beyond anything we've seen before. So they're both father, Ariana stated proudly. One through biology, one through enhancement. Perfect. Derek turned to Marcus, the emotion thick in his voice. Brother, I don't. Marcus smiled, pulling him into a fierce hug. We're family, all of us. High Lord Artius cleared his throat. Saw the hierarchy will be most interested in this development. A child carrying both direct and enhancement genetics from two human fathers combined with noble Luminium bloodlines. He shook his head in wonder. The possibilities are extraordinary. Later that evening in their apartment, the trio celebrated their unique family bond. Ariana lounged between her men, her silver hair spread across their laps. As they discussed the future, you know what this means, don't you? She teased, running her fingers along Derek's stubbled jaw, while resting her head on Marcus's thigh. Our child will have your rugged good looks, Derek, enhanced by Marcus' raw power. Plus, my luminant grace. Poor kid won't stand a chance at being modest. Marcus chuckled, his hand caressing her belly. With these genetics, modesty would be a waste. Derek grinned, then grew serious. I never thought I'd be a father, let alone share that role with my best friend. The universe works in mysterious way. Oriana mused, her light blue eyes twinkling, though I must say human passion had quite a bit to do with it too. Their laughter filled the apartment, interrupted by occasional passionate interludes as they celebrated their unique bond. the night grew deeper, filled with tender moments and intimate connections that transcended conventional relationships. Ariana whispered during a quiet moment. In ancient Luminan texts, there are stories of special children born from complex bonds they were said to possess, extraordinary abilities enhanced by the strength of their parents' emotional connections. Our little one's going to be quite something, Marcus agreed, his fingers threading through her silver hair already as Derek added his hand, joining Marcus on Ariana's belly. Did you feel that kick? Strong as hell, like their fathers, Ariana pulling them both closer. Speaking of strength, Der Luminara did mention that continued emotional resonance is crucial for the final stages of pregnancy. The Grand Hall of the Celestial Spires had never witnessed a ceremony quite like this before. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow light across the gathered dignitaries, a mix of Lumian nobles in their flowing robes and human officials in formal attire. The occasion, the first official recognition ceremony for a human Luminan triumvirate family. Ariana stood, resplendent in a dress that seemed woven from starlight itself. Her 9th pregnant belly proudly displayed. Derek and Marcus Flanter both wearing specially designed formal wear that combined human military dress with Luminan noble styling, black with silver accents that matched Ariana's hair. High Lord Artius addressed the assembled crowd. Today, we celebrate not just a union, but a new chapter in both our species' histories. My daughter and her chosen partners have demonstrated that love transcends not only cultural boundaries, but biological ones as well. Der Luminara stepped forward, projecting holographic data. The child these three will raise represents the next evolutionary step for both our species, enhanced by both fathers' genetic contributions and strengthened by their emotional bonds. This child will help forge a path between our worlds. Marcus and Derek exchanged proud glances over Ariana's head as she spoke. Our family may seem unconventional to some, but it represents the future, a future where strength comes not just from blood, but from bonds freely chosen and passionately maintained. The ceremony continued with elements from both cultures, the traditional Lumian light binding ritual and the human custom of exchanging vows. The trio had modified both to fit their unique situation, creating something entirely new. Later during the celebration, Ariana drew her men into a quiet alcove away from the crowds. The council has approved our proposal, she whispered excitedly. They're establishing the Interspecies Cultural Exchange Academy with our child as the first student and future leader. An entire academy. Derek's double jaw dropped. More like a new social institution, Marcus added, his beard failing to hide his grin. A place where humans and lumens can learn from each other, grow together, and our little one will be at the center of it all. Ariana purred, pulling them both closer, leading the way toward a future where love knows no boundaries. The celebration continued late into the night, with both species finding common ground in their appreciation for good food, strong drink, and joyful company. The trio's obvious happiness and deep connection sparked numerous conversations about the possibilities of human-Lumian relationships. Back in their private chambers, Ariana lounged on a specially designed couch, watching her men as they discussed plans for the academy. She mused, when I first told you both about the pregnancy, I never imagined we'd end up here creating a new social order. Derek chuckled, moving to massage her shoulders. Changing two civilizations, Marcus added, taking her feet into his lap. Being completely, utterly happy, she corrected, her light blue eyes glowing with contentment. Though the civilization changing part is a nice bonus. Their laughter mingled with the soft music floating up from the continuing celebration below. The night grew more intimate as they celebrated their union in their own private way, their passion enhanced by the knowledge of their shared future. The academy will need strong leadership, Ariana murmured later, tracing patterns on both men's chests. Both human and Luminan perspectives working together. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? Marcus raised an eyebrow. Well, she smiled mischievously. Who better to teach the next generation about cross-species relationships than the pioneers themselves? Count me in, Derek said immediately, though I might need some private tutoring and Lumian custom first. I'm sure that can be arranged. Ariana purred, pulling him closer while reaching for Marcus. In fact, I believe some intensive cultural exchange is in order right now. 1 year after the recognition ceremony, their private chambers in the celestial spires echoed with the delighted giggles of their infant son Alexander. His silver hair matched his mother's, while his strong features clearly showed Derek's genetics, enhanced by Marcus's contribution to create an extraordinary blend of human and luminant traits. Ariana reclined on their expanded lounger, watching her men play with their son. Derek tossed Alexander gently in the air, the baby's laughter mixing with subtle pulses of luminant energy, a sign of his developing abilities. Marcus stood ready to catch him, his protective instincts evident in every movement. He's getting stronger. Ariana observed, her light blue eyes twinkling both physically and psionically, the perfect blend of all three of us. Speaking of blending, Derek caught Alexander and settled beside her. Luminara's latest research suggests something interesting about luminant reproduction. Marcus joined them, his beard brushing Ariana's shoulder as he leaned in the enhanced fertility theory. Exactly, Ariana confirmed, her fingers trailing along both men's arms. It seems a successful first pregnancies in human luminant partnerships can trigger increased fertility in the mother, something about the genetic compatibility strengthening over time. Are you saying what I think you're saying? Derek's stubble rasped against her neck. As he pulled her closer, she purred, reaching for Marcus with her free hand. I'm saying that if we wanted to expand our family, now would be the perfect time. The genetic enhancement from our first success has created the optimal conditions. Marcus's breath caught another child, perhaps more than one. Ariana's voice dropped to a seductive whisper. Mayan women can carry multiple embryos when properly stimulated, and human virility combined with our enhanced fertility. She let the implication hang in the air. Their passionate response was interrupted by Alexander's happy squeal as he demonstrated a new ability, floating several inches above his playmat. Well, Derek chuckled, at least we know the nursery will need extra safety features. Later that evening, after putting Alexander to bed in his specially designed floating crib, the trio retired to their private chamber. The room's ambient lighting adjusted to their mood, creating an intimate atmosphere. The council is quite excited about the possibility of more hybrid children. Ariana mentions slipping out of her formal robes into something more comfortable. They're already preparing additional protocols for multiple birth scenarios. Always thinking ahead, aren't they? Marcus smiled, pulling her into his arms, while Derek watched appreciatively. Well, she smirked, they've learned to expect the unexpected from us. After all, we did rewrite their entire social structure, and now we're going to expand it further. Derek moved behind her, his hands finding familiar places. She agreed, arching between them. Though this time we know exactly what we're doing. No more surprised. Which one is the father? Moments their laughter turned to sighs as the night deepened. Their passion enhanced by the prospect of growing their unique family. The bond between them had only strengthened over the past year, their unconventional arrangement becoming something beautiful and natural. Ariana murmured during a tender moment. The ancient texts speak of luminant women who bore multiple children to different fathers, each child carrying unique genetic gifts. They were considered blessed by the stars. And now, Marcus asked, his fingers tangling in her silver hair, now we're making our own destiny. She smiled, pulling both men close, creating a new future for both our species, one child at a time. Speaking of creating, Dirk's voice grew husky. Didn't Luminara mention something about emotional resonance being crucial for conception? Indeed, Ariana purred, her light blue eyes glowing with desire. We should probably work on that thoroughly. Multiple times the medical bay of the celestial spires hummed with excitement. As Luminara reviewed the holographic displays floating above Ariana's heavily pregnant form, Marcus and Derek stood on either side of her, while 2-year-old Alexander floated playfully near the ceiling, his silver hair gleaming in the ambient light. Remarkable, Luminara breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. Twins, each showing distinct genetic patterns. One primarily carries Marcus's enhanced genetics, the other Derek, both perfectly blended with luminant traits. Both of us. Marcus's beard couldn't hide his grin as he squeezed Aaron's hand. Indeed, the doctor confirmed it. Seems your previous success created the perfect conditions for this unique occurrence. Each child will manifest Different combinations of human strength and Lumion abilities, Derek reached up to gently guide Alexander back down, the toddler giggling as he manipulated his own gravitational field. Looks like you'll have some siblings to teach soon, little star child Ariana beamed with pride. Her pregnant belly prominently displayed her shimmering white gown, the perfect expansion of our family. Though I must say carrying twins with enhanced human genetics is quite energetic. Speaking of energy, High Lord Arceus entered the medical bay, his silver robes swishing. The Academy's new wing is ready. The nursery has been specially designed to accommodate children with both human physical abilities and luminant psionic powers. Good timing, Ariana purred, pulling herself up with both her men's help. These little ones are quite active. I can already feel their different energy signatures. One feels like Marcus' strength, the other like Derek's agility. Later that evening in their private chambers, Alexander demonstrated his growing abilities by creating small light shows for his soon-to siblings. The family lounged together discussing their expanding future. The Academy students are fascinated by Alexander's development. Marcus mentioned watching his adopted son play. He's becoming quite the ambassador for human luminant integration. Just wait until these two arrive, Derek added, his hand caressing Ariana's belly. 3 unique combinations of our genetics, each showing different aspects of both species' potential. Ariana agreed, stretching sensually between them. Though I must say creating them was quite enjoyable. The enhanced fertility certainly made things interesting. Their intimate moment was interrupted by Alexander floating a toy spaceship between them, complete with sound effects. Story, he demanded, his light blue eyes glowing with inherited power. Which one tonight? Marcus asked, gathering their son into his arms. The one about how you met Mama. Alexander giggled. When you didn't know who my daddy was. Ah, that story, Derek chuckled, joining them. Well, it all started when your mother surprised us both. As they recounted their unique love story for their son, Ariana washed her family with glowing pride. The twins stirred within her, each movement a reminder of the extraordinary path they'd chosen. You know, she amid later after Alexander had fallen asleep in his floating bed, our children will never have to question their place in either society. They're living proof that love transmits all boundaries. Speaking of boundaries, Derek's voice grew husky as he helped her to their private chamber. Der Luminara mentioned something about intimate contact being beneficial during the final months. Did she now? Marcus followed his strong hands, finding familiar places on Ariana's body. We should probably follow Der's order. Ers their passion had only grown stronger with time, each encounter enhanced by their deep emotional bonds and the knowledge of their shared legacy. The night deepened with their intimate celebration of their expanding family. The birthing chamber in the celestial spires glowed with an ethereal light as Ariana's labor reached its climax. Marcus and Derek stood on either side of her, their strong hands providing steady support, while little Alexander watched from his grandfather's arms, his silver hair shimmering with excitement. The twins are ready. Of a Dr. Luminar announced, monitoring the swirling energy patterns above Ariana's body. Their genetic signatures are stabilizing in fascinating ways. The first baby arrived with a burst of psionic energy that made the medical equipment float momentarily. A boy, Der Luminara exclaimed, primarily carrying Marcus's enhanced genetics. The infant's robust cry filled the chamber as he was placed in Marcus' arms. Despite his newborn status, his muscular definition was already noticeable, while his silver hair and light blue eyes marked his lumen and heritage minutes. Later his brother followed, accompanied by a subtle ripple of gravitational distortion. Another boy, the doctor confirmed, this one showing Derek's primary genetics, but with remarkable psionic potential. Derek cradled his biological son, noting the perfect blend of human and luminant features. His own facial structure combined with Ariana's ethereal coloring. Their perfect. Ariana breathed, her silver hair damp with exertion, but her eyes glowing with joy. What shall we name them? For the firstborn, Marcus suggested Adrian. It means dark one in human terms, fitting for his stronger physical traits, and for his brother Derek added Ethan, strong, enduring. Together with Alexander, they'll be unstoppable. Alexander floated over to inspect his new siblings, his own powers manifesting in gentle light shows that made the babies coop with delight. Brothers, he exclaimed proudly. High Lord Artius approached his usual dignity, softened by grandfather's pride. 3 grandsons, each unique, each perfect. The future of both our species grows brighter with each birth. Later that evening in their private family suite, the expanded family settled into their new dynamic. The twins rested in their specialized cribs, Adrian's reinforced to handle his enhanced strength, Ethan's equipped with gravitational stabilizers for his developing psionic abilities. 3 sons, Ariana Muse lounging between her men on their expanded bed, each carrying different aspects of their father's strengths enhanced by luminin gifts. Adrian's already showing impressive physical development. Marcus noted proudly, his beard brushing her shoulder as he leaned in, and Ethan's psionic potential is off the charts. Derek added, his stubbled jaw grazing her other shoulder, though I hope he has better control than Alex Standard did at first. Remembered when he accidentally floated all the furniture to the ceiling. Their laughter was interrupted by a soft chime from Der Luminara's latest readings. Fascinating, Ariana purred, reviewing the data. The twins' genetic structures are still evolving, strengthening each other through their twin bond, and Alexander's presence seems to be stabilizing their development. Speaking of development, Derek's voice grew husky. How long before you're cleared for cultural exchange activities? Ariana stretched sensually between them. Der Luminara mentioned something about accelerated luminin healing, though we should probably conduct thorough research on the subject. Their intimate moment was interrupted by Alexander floating into their room, trailing his favorite stuffed earth animal. Story time, he demanded. Which one tonight, little star? Marcus asked, making room for their firstborn. Tell me again about how you didn't know who my daddy was. Alexander giggled. And now we have 2 more daddies to guess about. Not quiet, Ariana laughed, pulling her ELD as close this time. We knew exactly what we were doing, though I must say that first surprise led to the most wonderful family in 2 galaxies. As they shared their story once again, the twins slept peacefully nearby, their cribs gently pulsing with their unique energy signatures. Their family had grown in ways none of them had imagined that first shocking day, but each new development only strengthened their extraordinary bonds. 6 months after the twins' birth, the family's private chambers in the celestial spires had evolved into a harmonious blend of nursery, playground, and intimate sanctuary. The expanded living space accommodated both the children's growing abilities and their parents' unique relationship. Alexander, now an accomplished little psionic, delighted in teaching his younger brothers. Adrian's enhanced strength required specially reinforced toys, while Ethan's gravitational manipulation meant their play area needed constant monitoring, especially when the 3 boys decided to practice spaceflight together. They're getting better at control, Marcus observed one evening, his muscled frame relaxed on their custom-designed lounge. As he watched the boys play, Adrian was carefully stacking blocks with his enhanced strength, while Ethan used his powers to keep them perfectly balanced thanks to their big brother. Derek added, returning from putting the twins down for their nap. His stubbled jaw showed signs of fatigue, but his eyes sparkled with pride. Alexander's teaching them discipline along with fun. Ariana emerged from their private chamber, her silver hair flowing over a new dress that made both men catch their breath. The boys are advancing faster than any previous human-luminin hybrid, she purred, settling between them. Der Luminar credits our continued emotional resonance. Is that what we're calling it now? Dirk's voice grew husky as he pulled her closer. The doctor's latest research suggests that maintaining strong physical bonds enhances not just conception, but ongoing development, she explained, her fingers trailing along Marcus's beard. Something about the combined human-luminin energy signatures. Well, Marcus rumbled, leaning in, we should probably keep up with our research. Their intimate moment was interrupted by Alexander floating into the room, trailing light patterns in his wake. Papa Marcus, Papa Derek, look what I taught the twins. The proud parents watched as their eldest demonstrated how he'd helped Adrian channel his strength through luminin energy fields, while teaching Ethan to stabilize his gravitational control. The result was a perfectly coordinated display of power. and precision beautiful workstar child Ariana prays, drawing their firstborn into a family embrace you're going to be. An amazing teacher at the academy. Someday later that night, after ensuring all three boys were safely asleep in their specialized beds, the trio retired to their private sanctuary, the room's ambient lighting adjusted to their mood, creating an intimate atmosphere that had only grown more charged with time. You know, Ariana amused, slipping out of her dress with practiced grace. When I first surprised you both with news of Alexander, I never imagined we'd end up here. You mean creating a new paradigm for interspecies relationships? Derek asked, his hands finding familiar places on her body. Or raising three extraordinary children who reshape both our civilizations? Marcus added, his beard brushing her shoulder as he joined them. All of that, she purred, drawing them both closer, though I must say the research into maintaining strong emotional bonds has been particularly enjoyable. Their laughter turned to sighs as they celebrated their unique connection, their passion enhanced by years of shared love and understanding. Their relationship had evolved into something beautiful and natural, transcending conventional boundaries, while respecting each person's role. As the twin moons of New Alexandria rose over the celestial spires, their chamber filled with whispered endearments and loving touches, their bond had only grown stronger with each challenge, each child, each moment shared. We should thank Lord Celestian, Derek murmured during a tender moment. His opposition to our relationship ended up proving exactly why it was necessary. Ariana agreed, arching between them, though I prefer to thank the universe for bringing me two perfect partners who could handle a pregnant Lumion. Noble, declaring, which one of you is the father? Best surprise of our lives. Marcus chuckled, pulling them both closer. Though I must say knowing exactly who fathered the twins was much less stressful. Their gentle laughter mingled with sighs of pleasure as they celebrated their love. Once again, their passion a testament to the power of breaking boundaries and following one's heart. In the nursery, their three sons slept peacefully, each dreaming in their own unique way. Alexander creating light shows in his sleep, Adrian's strength contained by his specialized bed, and Ethan occasionally floating a few inches above his mattress. They were the future proof that love knows no boundaries, that family can take many forms, and that sometimes the most unexpected questions lead to the most perfect answers.